I remember last March, April, sitting in a shala in Bali on a intensive 12-night immersion and retreat. And I remember hearing these teachings for the first time, where we were being taught that there's not a hair out of place. Harish, Christopher Wallace was on this retreat. Colette Davis was running this retreat at the time. And I remember thinking such furore of resistance to that how can that possibly be, that there's not a hair out of place? I could give a list as long as your arm about everything I felt that was completely out of place. And I remember sitting in the shala looking out at the trees, at the palm trees swaying with the wind. And almost like a whisper, as I was reflecting on some enormous challenges that I had had the year before, quite a few losses of very deeply loving relationships had come to an end, and other relationships that needed to end. I felt that I was so challenged by not understanding any of it. My resistances to it, my frustrations by it, my deep desire to unpack it all and try and have a deeper understanding. And as I watched the trees, I suddenly heard in the whisper of that moment of reflection, this has all happened for you. All of these events have unfolded for you, not against you, but we have put these challenges, these individuals in your place for you to now arrive at this point. And for the first time ever, I understood what they meant by the teachings of the suffering, because that is really all it had felt like to me. A year of challenges, one after the other, after the other, after the other, lots of endings, not many new beginnings, if I'm honest, and it felt really quite torturous. And in that moment of the suffering, I had this deep insight that it was all conspiring for my awakening. It was all conspiring for the good. And so when I heard this in Ram Dass this weekend, talking about our suffering as an invitation to see our experiencing as a form of grace entering our lives, I thought, okay, well, how is this experience that we're all going through a form of grace? And of course, we have to differentiate the suffering of another and the suffering of a collective according to our own sense of suffering within our individual self. So this is about a teaching about our own interactions with our experiences as the cause of our potential suffering, not anybody else or anybody else's misgivings, but just our own, and an opportunity to see our own as that opportunity to go deeper. When I think about the teachings of Adyashanti, he says, grace is simply that which opens our hearts, that which has the capacity to come in and open our perceptions about life. And so how is then our opportunity of suffering right now? How is your own interpretation of your experiences potentially a portal for you to find a deeper level of awakening and understanding? What is it about how you're perceiving your current circumstances that may potentially be blocking you from seeing something that's been trying to reach you for some time? Are you being asked to review areas of yourself and your life in a way that you never have done before? Are you experiencing grief and loss about aspects of your life that we can't return to? How are these experiences in your life currently presenting as teachings and as gifts for you? And is your interpretation of these experiences actually causing the greater level of suffering? If we allow our hearts to open, our perceptions about life can change. And this is what Adyashanti is asking us. When grace comes into our lives, we're asking for our hearts to open. And the greatest challenge about asking our hearts to open while we are suffering is immense. And the only way that we can do this is to recognize that the teachings are asking us to invite the suffering in, rather than expending the energy that we put into pushing away. And when you think about our resistances to that, our resistances to what is the greatest cause of our suffering. Ideally, what we're wanting to do is to welcome it in so that we can welcome with it the teachings that are needing to find us, in the knowing that they are here for a greater and a deeper purpose than they may originally appear. And the experiences in and of themselves and the essence of themselves are not here to cause us suffering. They're asking us to wake up. They're asking us to see life and ourselves, humanity and consciousness, in a way that potentially we have not seen them before.